What's going on, guys? This is Pikachu OTC from Simple Trade. Welcome to another weekly review in which I'll be talking about some runners from the past week. And just like most of the recent weeks, we are still in a very good OTC market. We are seeing trip stocks that run hundreds of percents. We are seeing low floaters that runs hundreds and hundreds of percents. And the market overall is very bullish, and we might continue as we head into the next week and the following weeks ahead. So the first stock that I'll be talking about today will be the company JTBK, which is a low floater, around 89 million shares for the public float, ran 220% in about 4 days, but the real run occurred on July 13th, where it ran 140% intraday, with very nice volume for that low floater. Now the reason for that is an LOI that JTBK uploaded via a press release, where they said that it is currently on a non-binding due diligence and negotiation phase with a seller, where both parties have up to 45 days to come to terms on a deal with assets totaling over $1 billion. Yes, you heard it right, $1 billion. Now, this is not a regular number that you see in the OTC. When you see something like that, if you are one of the first to see something like that with no bad news on that LOI, such as reverse split, you know that this is a banger and you know that you will make money on it if you are the first one to see it. And indeed, the stock ran more than 100% and then it dropped down 2 days later because it's still just an LOI. It did not say that the deal is closed, so keep your eyes out for JTBK in the next 45 days to see if that deal gets closed. Let's move on to the next stock with this weekly review, which is QBAN or QBAN. The stock ran from the low trips from the 0002 to the 0008, around 300% of a run, and in 1 day it made another 100% from the 0004 to the 0008. Now there was no news or no update whatsoever from the company. The only reason the stock ran was because of the DD of QBAN, and it is a low trips stock that does not dilute with an upcoming catalyst. And the upcoming catalyst is that they tweeted on May 12th, yes, 2 months ago. We are pleased to announce that we received $1.2 million. Planning is well underway to assure growth. Convertible debt has been paid off to ensure our OS doesn't change. More news to come, QBAN. So by that tweet, they are saying that there is news to come. They paid off their debt, so there will be no further dilution, and they received $1.2 million. So this looks pretty promising. And as the DD, which is much more than that, you can just search on Twitter the ticker QBAN with a $sign, and you will find a ton of DD on that stock. So I bet this is not the end of it, because on Friday you can see the volume, around 670 million shares were loaded. Now let's look back at the chart and see what happened when massive volume came to QBAN. You can see here 2.1 billion in 1 day got the stock to go up all the way to the 0019, and right here we have about third of that volume. So it will be interesting to see what QBAN brings in the near future. And now we'll move on to the next stock, which I already covered up previously on the channel and called it a gem or a hidden gem, and right now you will understand why. Is MRES. And boy, the chart looks absolutely beautiful. You can see the uptrend tunnel over here. You can see the volume starts to pick up, and you can see that it's going closer and closer for that 0.15 break and head up to the 2 penny resistance. And now let's talk some fundamentals. What's going on with MRES? Well, first of all, a big shout out to the OTC Angel for making this massive DD thread on the Twitter. And just like you can see, it is an 89 million float. Its last decent run was around the 0.04, and there was, and this is the big catalyst over here, a new officer in the filing SOS, and you can see that the new president is the CEO of a company ticker symbol WHUN, which is traded at the price of $0.2. This is 20 cents, and he has a huge track record on that stock and overall. And that CEO, or as the SOS filing shows, a president, is Peter Jeffrey Robinson, and there are some rumors that has come to my ears that there will be a PR this week, which is probably about the change of control. Furthermore, there is no dilution. The authorized shares was reduced from 10 billion to 2 billion, and the SS now is maxed out. And lastly, from the recent filings, as you can see on subsequent event note 5, the company had been in discussion with a third party for the purchase of assets, which led to the closing of the purchase of the assets on June 28, 2022. So it is confirmed there is a change in control, and the new president will be the man Peter Jeffrey Robinson. And to top all of that, there was an OTC market change where someone named William D. Junker was added to the directors, and he was added as the new CFO. So guys, we are talking about an 89 million float merger, a fresh merger with a PR coming this week as for the rumors. And right now it is sitting very close to its first resistance out of 4, and just look what the stock did in the past where it got the volume. So if we will see something like that, we might see another type of run just like in the past. So keep your eyes out for MRES. We talked about that stock 1 month ago in our Discord channel and on the weekly review. Obviously, this is not a financial advice. Do your own due diligence and your own research. And now we'll move on to the next stock, which is DCAC or DCAC. And the first thing that you see here is this massive, I believe, all-time high volume right here. Absolutely insane. And we will go to the 5-minute candle chart to understand better what happened over here. And you just look at the volume that started on that stock. It was loaded like crazy on that day, and then massive selling power out of nowhere. I'm talking about hundreds of millions of shares that were dumped in about 10 to 15 minutes, and it got to the bottom of the all-time support. So what the hell happened over here? We will now go through it. So on July 12th, as the loading occurred on that stock, the DCAC management had opened a new Twitter account, which is the first Twitter account they have ever made. And they tweeted right where the selling started. I mean, about 1 to 2 minutes before the massive dumps had occurred, they tweeted, "This page is the official OTC DCAC account. More information regarding the company status will be provided soon. OTC profile updates already been submitted. Have a great day." And they hashtagged fresh start. Now I don't recall, but I believe that they updated their Twitter account on the OTC markets about 5 minutes after the dump start, but that was already irrelevant because there was a massive massacre over here. People dumped their shares, and in my opinion, there was dilution on that stock. You can see from the OTC markets that the unrestricted shares are the same. But ladies and gentlemen, it might be a surprise for you. The transfer agent does not tell the truth all of the time. Let's take a look back at the daily candles chart and see the previous runs of DCAC, and you can see that it ran from the 0009 all the way up to the 0018. And look at the volume. This was 3 days volume. You only needed less than 500 million shares to get to that price on the higher prices. And now we have 1 day with 1.7 billion shares, and the stock closes on the 0006 after going to 0014. Now let's get back to the 5-minute candle chart and see the loading that occurred before that. You can see that there was 26 million shares and overall about 40 million shares at the 0007. We had right here 2 candles of around 150 million shares total at the prices of the 0008 and 0009, and then for about 1 hour more than 100 million shares at the 0009. So guys, where are all those shares coming from? I mean, 300 to 400 million shares at this 1.2 billion float were loaded on those prices. Where are all of those shares coming from? So in my opinion, there was dilution ever since the volume starts picking up, ever since that 100 million volume candle right here. The diluters started to work, but they were on low flame. Now if you traded that stock on that day, you know that every time the ask got slapped, there was at least 30 to 40 million stocks on the next ask, so where are all of those shares coming from? In my opinion, that was dilution, but management say there was no dilution, as they tweeted the day after. Company looking into what happened yesterday, checked with the transfer agent, no conversion requests were submitted, there was no dilution as far as the transfer agent is concerned. And they added, we also want to clarify a reverse split is not in the company's plans. The only reason to do a reverse split will be to move to a better exchange, which is not something we are currently planning. So the company says there was no dilution, but in my opinion, there was. So that was the story of DCAC and what the hell happened over here. And now let's move on to the next strip stock that ran 100%, which is NBRI. The stock ran 174% in 2 days, and that is due to change in control. The company uploaded PR after hours where they said that NBRI is pleased to announce that a change in voting control of NBRI was completed through the acquisition of the preferred share representing such voting control by 40 Minex Corporation in a private transaction. As a result of this transaction, Mr. Robert Reynolds has been appointed to the board of directors, and the former CEO resigned as director and all other positions within NBRI. So this is a fresh strip stock play. Usually where there is a change in control on a non-dilutive stock, the stock goes up pretty nicely, and as you can see, very strong volume over here, and the stock ran 174%. Obviously, this is not the end of the story. We are still waiting for some details about that transaction. So keep your eyes out also for NBRI in the next coming weeks. And now let's move on to the final stock of this weekly review, which we already covered up on the previous weekly review, which is CZNI. The stock ran 1,1200% with absolutely unbelievable liquidity. You could have bought 1 billion shares at the 0001 and sell them with no problem whatsoever at the price of the 0011, 0012, and it looks like this is not done. You can see that the stock is on an uptrend on the way to the 0015 resistance, and after that it can go all the way up to a much higher price. The story here is the same. We are waiting for some news, for some announcements from the merger company, but I will tell you this: as long as CZNI continues to run, the other OTC trip stocks will run and follow as well, just like we talked about on the previous weekly review. And just like you can see, QBAN ran to the 0008, DCAC ran to the 0014, NBRI ran to also 0011. So the trip stock are going out of trips, and also the low floaters are very hot. So basically the entire OTC market is very hot right now. Don't be afraid to put your money on some stocks with good news, because most of the times on these kind of days the stocks goes for a multi-day runners, just like you can see on CZNI. Obviously there will be red days along the way, because there is no such thing as only green days, but the OTC overall is very bullish right now. And that was it about this weekly review, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to drop a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the future videos. If you're not in our Simple Trade Discord community yet, make sure to go to the description and join our channel, because we call most of the runners first. And if you want to join and enjoy a full free value, so the link in the description. Once again, thank you for joining, and I wish you all a very green, a very bullish, and a very profitable week.